How We Heard It, the podcast about music, pop culture, movies, and more, with your hosts, Wayne Bledsoe and Chuck Campbell.
Maha, this is Chuck Campbell with
Wayne Bledsoe, and
I'm John Baker.
that's a what I hope is a hello in Twi, which is like the primary non-English language spoken in Ghana, a country in Western Africa that we get listeners from now and then. So
Hello, Ghana.
Yeah, hello, Ghana. So a month ago, we did an episode on songs about moms in advance of Mother's Day. So obviously today we want to do an episode on songs about dads in advance of Father's Day. Wayne, one thing we did talk about with the Mother's Day is we talked about artists who become parents and how that changes, or as journalists, we've asked them about how that has maybe influenced their music. And for the most part, with women, it mainly affected their time. They simply had less time to do music, but it didn't seem to affect anything else. But you also interviewed several men, new fathers. Do you recall them saying anything, any pattern there, and what the guys said?
I think it was the same thing. I mean, because when I would ask them that question, I would talk about how, I had to become a better editor on the things that I wrote because I didn't have as much time.
Right.
And I heard other people say the same thing.
Right.
I mean, there were people like Roger Miller who told me, I didn't even know my first family because he was on the road all the time. I've talked with several musicians like that. My friend Little Roy Wiggins, who was the steel guitar player with Eddie Arnold, he said the same thing. He didn't really know his first family hardly because they were always on the road.
Right.
But, I think a lot of people it affects. And, I mean, I remember, and I'll mention, I'm sure John and I'll bring up Loudon Wainwright later on, but when Rufus was becoming a big deal, I asked him about, being a dad.
Rufus Wainwright,
yeah, who became a much bigger star than, Loudon really didn't become a star.
Loudon was his father.
Right.
Just clear it up for
people.
people.
Yeah, Loudon was, and, Kate McGarrigle was his mother, so he came from musicians. But it was really nice that Loudon was so honest about it. He said, yeah, I've got all sorts of emotions. I'm jealous. I'm envious. And he said, it's complicated. So, and he wrote a lot about his children and being a dad. And some people do. There's more than you think.
Yeah, it's like anything else. I mean, everybody reacts different to a different role, or some people can compartmentalize, and some people just spin out of control. I did mention some women who just stopped performing for years after they had children, just so they could handle it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have a little dad story. I told a little mom story. Do you remember the song "Once You Understand" by the band Think?
No, I can't remember that one.
No way.
No.
Things get a little easier.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, now you sing
All right.
it. Yeah, I remember
Cheesy song.
Yeah.
They released it in 71, and then they re-released it in 74. And the song it's a melodrama about how parents don't understand their kids. And there's a chorus of people singing things get a little easier once you understand. And alternating with that are vocal bits, little plays or whatever, of a dad arguing with his teen son and a mother arguing with her teen daughter. Okay, and it goes back and forth between the singing and the talking.
Yeah.
And then it has this dramatic climax. The dad gets a call from the police. All the music stops. And he goes, I'm sorry, Mr. Cook, or whatever his name was. You're going to have to come down to the station house. Your son is dead. And he goes, dead? How? And he goes, he died of an overdose.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hear this ghostly voice of that boy that he'd been arguing with. He's singing by himself, things get a little easier once you understand.
Forgot all about that
Cheesy song. And somehow I got my hands on it, the single, when I was a kid. And I was at my dad's house. And I played it in the living room one time. And he was back in his bedroom or wherever. And he came out and he said, just watch the TV or listen to the stereo. Don't do both. I said, okay. It's like I didn't tell him anything. And then I did it again when I realized he didn't understand that was just a record and they were talking and singing on it. And I made him crazy because I kept playing it. I said, I'm only listening to the stereo, Dad, and the TV's not even warm, I've just got the stereo. And he called the neighbors, this retired couple, to ask them if they were listening to music or something. And then I never told him about it, but I just started feeling bad that I was playing that kind of game on my dad with a cheesy song about a dad who loses his son.
Well, it's funny because, that in that era, there were singles that were recitations and things like that. And it's a totally lost art form. But at the same time, you had Art Linkletter with "We Love You, Call Collect," and different things like that.
So singing and talking and
and you had Tex Ritter with my last letter from Daddy or whatever. This maudle and awful recitation stuff. Walter Brennan had a great one about his dog, about a dog. It's like. It's funny because that's completely gone. Nobody even knows they exist.
Some people can do that kind of thing, like Dolly with her she'll have spoken asides and all that stuff, and it works. And other artists that I like, every now and then they'll have spoken parts in it. But this was just cheesy, high school play or high school drama or something like that.
Totally forgotten that one.
Last time also we talked when we were talking about mothers. We talked about moms in music and what kind of mothers they were to their daughters who became singers. And it all depended on the mother as to what role she had with her daughter. So I thought we could talk about dads in music. And the first one came up, Bob Dylan, who is reluctant to support his son, Jacob Dylan, when he went into music. And he was saying it was kind of similar to the Madonna thing. He was afraid Jacob would be just chewed up alive because Bob Dylan was chewed up for his vocals being kind of crappy, but also endlessly praised for his great songwriting.
Right.
So he was like all over the map, but he was like written, and he didn't want his son to come in and to have to face that.
Yeah.
But he eventually got behind him, and he started putting out music, and he was proud of his son.
Yeah, and I asked Jacob a little bit about that. We didn't talk too much. I mean, it's always uncomfortable when you start asking the children of great artists about their parents rather than specifically about them. But I asked him, do you think that your dad tried to influence your musical tastes?
Right.
And he said, yeah. He said when we would go on trips, he would have like a tape that he would have in there. And I kind of thought that, part of that was like,
listen to this, son. Maybe you'll learn something here.
Yeah, but Jacob became a pretty good songwriter himself. He's
and a better singer. I think he's a better singer.
Oh yeah, well he's got a better voice.
Yeah, he's got a better voice. Yeah. I mean, maybe not as much character to his voice, but certainly a better.
Well, I think unpopular opinion. I think Bob Dylan is a great singer, but he's a great singer with a very, very limited instrument.
Yeah. Very limited. Also, John Lennon and Julian Lennon. Now, this was interesting because I didn't know John Lennon kind of abandoned Julian.
Yeah.
He had an acrimonious divorce from his mother, and he moved to New York and moved in with Yoko and just kind of wasn't there as part of Julian's.
And
it wasn't like an abrasive kind of abandonment, but it was, he was across the ocean from his son.
Well, but he also gave very little support. Cynthia Lennon had to sell the letters that John Lennon had written her when they were dating and when they were
and I think he let the acrimony he had with Julian's mother affect how he ultimately Julian had to pay the price too with support or whatever.
Yeah,
so they had a very complicated relationship. John didn't dislike him. You were about to say something?
Well, I was just to add to the thing about the letters. Paul McCartney actually bought the letters and gave them back to Cynthia.
Oh wow! Yeah, well, good.
Well, and and when Julian Lennon made his debut with Velat. I mean, it sounded exactly like John Lennon singing.
It did.
Yeah, and that's a different thing than Jacob Dylan, who doesn't really sound like his dad.
No.
And so when first thing you come out with
you hear
sounds
John Lennon
just like your dad, the comparisons are just going to pile on.
Yeah. And Velat, it actually came out 4 years after John Lennon died. And I read something, don't trust AI people. I read something that said that John Lennon, he eventually, buried the hatchet with Julian and loved his album Velat. And it's like, how is that possible? Because he had been dead for 4 years before it came out.
Oh, AI
this
had
is what
seance.
AI will tell you about John and Julian Lennon.
Well, and don't discount Sean Ono Lennon, who is an amazing musician.
Well, he very, very different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
he
was like 5, I guess, when John died. So he hadn't really formed any kind of. I wouldn't expect
I'm sure osmosis has.
Oh yeah,
artistic expression
stuff,
is in his DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, given what his mom does.
Yeah, and true. Whatever that is. I
think Yoko's cool.
There you go. Me too.
I like her a lot.
Okay.
She's brave.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with that.
I mean, I don't necessarily like to listen to her shriek, but
Right.
Like I said many times before, now I understand.
I liked Walking on Thin Ice. Walking on Thin Ice.
Yeah.
They say the lake is as big as an ocean. I wonder if she knew about it. So, anyway, I also had one last example here. Was Julio Iglesias, who was a pioneer in Spanish language music for an English language audience.
Right.
His son, Enrique, was so in Julio's shadow that he didn't want him to know that he was even pursuing music. And he recorded his demos and signed a contract and everything without even Julio finding out. And when Julio found out, he was upset, just that he had been shut out of the process and everything. But eventually he came around and talks about how much he loves Enrique Iglesias' music and how good he is and how proud he is. And I think Enrique's actually pretty much on the same level as Julio was, or even more so. They're both huge successes. So, and one other thing we did with the women is that we talked about young women performers who were not yet mothers,
right?
And what kind of mothers we thought they would be.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what about the guys? I mean, turnabout's fair play. You got to. If we're going to evaluate women just based on what kind of moms we think, that we could do the same with men.
Right.
I was going to do Morgan Wallen, and I realized he has a kid, but I guess he shares custody with the kid, and he's not with the mom, so I'm leaving him out. But Bruno Mars, 40 years old. He's a multitasking. He performs with everybody. He's got a good spirit about him. I think he'll be a very diligent dad, and I think he'll take care of his kids' needs. And all of that, but he might be busy, so
maybe. But I think he seems like the sort of guy that would.
He's a good guy.
He would make time.
Yeah,
he would make prioritize. That's what I think.
Okay, and Harry Styles, you may not know much about him. He's 32. He was in One Direction. He was in a boy band. So I think being in a boy band and everything, you learn how to share the spotlight. So he'll be generous with whatever his kid wants to do. He doesn't overproduce. I think of him as kind of a Taylor Swift equivalent. I think he'll be a great dad. He's smart. He's funny. He's sensitive. And, he does music, but he's not just like all over the map or anything like that. And I think he would be a great dad.
Well, I mean, his kid's going to have to rebel by becoming conservative.
Yeah, conservative. Yeah. No, onesies or anything like that.
I mean, he's not going to care. I mean, to wear some crazy clothes. It's like, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
No.
Bad Bunny, he's 32. He's a very adventurous and kind man, and he's all about justice and everything. I think he'll be a doting father, honestly. He strikes me as that, just what I know about him and everything. The last one I have on here is Benson Boone, who's 23, and he reminds me of Sabrina Carpenter because he's got sex appeal and he's using that, and he wears the little one pieces and does his backflips and all that, but he's funny. He's really funny. And I thought, what if Benson Boone and Sabrina Carpenter had children together? You would have the funnest parents, maybe not great parents, but you would have the most fun parents anyone would ever have, I would think. But he's 23. I mean, he's kind of young to be even thinking about that. And she's like a couple of years older.
Okay. All right. Well, all I know is if Benson Boone has children, they'll probably be gymnastic stars.
They will be gymnastics, yes. And they'll be sarcastic. They'll get it from their mom. And they both do humorous bits and everything in all their stage shows and everything. So I kind of want this to happen. They're two good-looking people, talented enough.
But as when we talked about Madonna, it could go like any of these people could go the other way. I mean, even Harry Styles could be like suddenly they have kids and suddenly they get very conservative about their children.
It could happen. But we're just guessing. All right, the main event here is songs about fathers and for fathers and by fathers. And
Well, I was telling Sarah about what our subject was yesterday, and so she mentioned a song that I didn't know, Christina Aguilera's Hurt.
Yep.
So we watched the video for that. She said, I may cry when we watch it.
Yep.
So she cried a little bit. So I said, well, let me play you my favorite one, which was Chet Atkins' rendition of Still Can't Say Goodbye. Mm-hmm. About trying to be like his father, a guy, who gets his father's hat down and tries on his hat and tries to look like him. And then goes, at the end of the song, he goes to a Salvation Army store and buys a hat that's like that one.
Like Dad's, yeah.
She ugly cried. I mean, she was like sobbing. And it's so funny because we watched it from a live performance.
Who was this, Chet Atkins?
Chet Atkins,
okay.
Who didn't sing a whole lot. He said, he would always say, I sing a little, but not enough to hurt my career. But he did a show with Mark Knopfler that was put on television. And it's like Mark Knopfler's trying not to cry in the background. Vince Gill's in the audience, and he's crying. It's like you get shots of all these people crying in the audience because it is a beautiful, beautiful, but very sad song.
Well, I've got mine in chronological order, but that makes me want to jump up to one.
Okay.
Let's see, where is she on my list here? Because she was on my mind, 2008. Leona Nace, I've talked about her before. She's a singer-songwriter. Her dad was a mountain climber, and in 2004 he died in an accident, and she just stopped doing music for years, and she didn't do anything at all. 4 years after he died, she put this song "On My Mind" on her first album post his death, and it is the sweetest, prettiest song. She doesn't specifically talk about her dad, but she's going through childhood memories and everything, and it really hits you in the gut because it's just sweet, and she's just saying, "You're on my mind, you're on my mind, you're on my mind," in the chorus. And it's very pretty. It's like acoustic guitar, and it just, you hear it and you know what's behind it, and there's no, mechanizations and, drama or anything like that. It's just, I lost you, lost myself, and I'm back, and you're on my mind. I've got some other schmaltzy ones too, but that one I think is probably one of the most moving.
Well, I think there's so many songs about dead fathers. People don't write about their dads until they die.
Yeah.
Which is, damn.
Yeah. There are a lot. Yeah.
But there's a great song by Tom Paxton called "My Daddy and Me."
Okay.
Tom Paxton is like Greenwich Village folk singer. Great.
Wasn't he a communist?
No. He was actually, I've talked about before, if you watch the movie Inside Llewyn Davis, he's the guy who was the soldier. That's who they inspired, that character was inspired by, because he was in the military when he first became a thing. But no, he wrote Bottle of Wine and Going to the Zoo.
Well, I know he hung around in that Greenwich Village folk scene, and there were a lot of communists in
tons
that
of
circle.
communists. But anyway, this is a song just about, it's a good memory about, being with his dad, and, Daddy got mad sometimes, but that's just how daddies are. And Daddy threw his hat at the fence post, but it never went that far. And I got sad and teary-eyed, but the only thing I could see was Daddy and me.
Nice. I got 70s stuff here.
Okay.
And the first one, super schmaltzy. "Daddy, Don't You Walk So Fast."
Oh, for God's sakes. That's one of those awful daddy songs.
By Wayne Newton. Okay. It is awful. On the face of it, it's awful. Do you remember it, John? Nope. But the chorus, I was a kid, and the chorus is just, "Daddy, don't you walk so fast." His daughter is screaming at him as Daddy's walking away. Yeah. And she goes, "Slow down some because you're making me run." "Daddy, don't you walk." There's strings in it and everything. But the little message of that stuck with me because kids have little legs. They can't walk as fast as mom and dad. And all the time when I'm out and I see like at a store and I see a parent walking off and the kid trying to keep up, I think of that song. All this time later, I think of, and I'm like, "Daddy or Mommy, don't you walk so fast. Your kids." But it's super schmaltzy. And another one 2 years later is 74. This is kind of the ultimate dad song. I think it's the Harry Chapin's "Cats in the Cradle."
Right, yeah.
It got played a lot, and I think people may look at it as like a little melodramatic or whatever, but it is a universal message that's transcended all generations. It's about the father, could be a mother too, who's always working and doesn't have time for his kid. And there are these little vignettes as the kid's getting older, and the kid loves his dad and admires his dad, would do anything for him. And the dad's, "I got bills to pay and I got a job to do, but one of these days I'm going to spend time with you," and all that. Oh, that right. I don't think that was actually a line, but anyway.
You're a poet and totally unaware.
Yeah, exactly. That's my kind of poetry, the non-rhyming kind. But and then, of course, it comes to the punchline at the end. Dad finally has time to sit down with his son.
And the son's
in college and says, "What I really like is, could I borrow your car keys? See you later. Can I have them, please?" Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, my boy is just like me."
Yeah.
It is melodramatic, but it's true. And I know people who, when their kids are growing up, they are busy paying bills and stuff. And they're like, "I'm going to be a dad later. I'm going to be the mom later. I'm going to do these things later." And the kids get older, and the older they get, the less time they want with you or will spend with you. And you can't do it on when it's convenient timeline. You kind of got to be there for them or not, So anyway, I think it's a really good song as schmaltzy as it might be.
Well, go ahead.
And it's kind of close. I mean, it is sung, but you could almost see that being what was the word you talked about before, where you just like speak.
Yeah, just the monologues.
Yeah, it could almost be that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before you leave the 70s and the horrible songs, there's an Elvis song called "Don't Cry Daddy."
Okay.
And it is the most maudlin, awful thing. It's about a man whose wife has died, and he wakes up every morning and starts crying, and the little boy says, "Don't cry, Daddy. Daddy, please don't cry." It's like,
how does this end?
"You've still got me, little Tommy. Together we'll find a brand new mommy."
Oh, boy.
It's like, this is excruciating. This is an awful song. But it's one of those things that, like, John and I might, at some point, get together with a drink and say, "Listen to this."
You think you've seen bad.
Elvis has done a lot of songs, and some of them were good, you know?
But, yeah, that one is just beyond it. There's another really bad one called "My Dad," but it was a hit by Paul Peterson, who was on, I think it was on the Donna Reed show.
Okay.
And it's like, it's so funny because he's talking about all the things, you know, his dad's like nothing in the world, but it's all the world to me. But what you remember is when he says about how he's nothing.
Well, I got one still if we're in the 70s, and it's ironically John Lennon Plastic Ono Band, and the song is "Mother," but at the end, John Lennon was going through primal scream therapy to, purge the demons in his soul, and at the end of, so in these songs that he's like screaming, like bloody murder, shearing his throat out, and at the end of the song, he's singing, "Mother, don't go, Daddy, come home," because his mother died when he was young, and his dad ran off and was never around.
Right.
And so there is Daddy in there. Daddy, he says it over and over and over, and just more and more intense as it goes. It's a great.
I wonder about what Julian thought about his dad doing a song about his dad running off. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
Well, John Lennon was full of contradictions.
He certainly was.
Yep. I have one other 70s song, Billy Joel, Vienna. I don't know if you remember
Vienna Waits
that,
for You.
but it was he was estranged from his father, and he found him in Vienna. And it's kind of an upbeat song, and it's I don't like everything Billy Joel does, but this one is real straightforward, kind of and it's the lessons learned, like in Europe with older people and everything. They kind of like, you don't have to do everything right now when you're in your 20s and 30s. You don't have to do everything all at once. You don't have to do all of your life's goals or anything. Enjoy life, and you can keep being relevant your whole life long. So it's just a nice message, I think.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done with 70s, so I'm up to 80s.
Oh,
so.
well, I'm going to be jumping around
I know,
all over the place,
I know.
Chuck. So don't keep us in like one decade. We're going to have to go back and forth.
All right. Well, what do you got then?
Well, all right. One of my favorite songs about dads is, and John probably knows, it's John Hyatt's "Just Like Your Dad," and the whole song is just about all these things, and you turn out to be just like your dad.
Yeah.
Just like your dad did is actually what it's called. But anyway.
That's a condemnation, right? It's not a...
Well, it's not really a condemnation as much as just like, oh, yeah, this is what happens. And he's got like this scene around the dinner table where like his little daughter or whatever says, they give a prayer, and she says, "May my brother's hamster rot in hell," or whatever it is. It's just really good.
Okay.
It's so funny because there are a lot of songs about you become your dad. Leo Kotke's got this great song that's kind of a recitation called "Your Father's Face."
Right.
Talking about you look in the mirror and you've got your father's face.
Huh.
And that happens to everybody. I think it's like you start recognizing.
Yeah. I've been told I look like my dad all my life.
Really?
Yeah. I don't see it, but
well,
but I've seen pictures of him when he was younger, and he looks just like my little brother.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of family resemblance. Well, there's another 70s. How about "Papa Don't Take No Mess," James Brown.
Don't take no mess.
Yeah, Papa Don't Take No Mess.
Okay.
Well, it was everything with Papa with him. It was like, Papa's got a brand new bag. Papa don't take no mess. But I do think Papa Don't Take No Mess maybe was actually about a father.
Yeah, well, and he talks in there. It sounds rough, too, because he's like, he says something about I can't remember the rhyme, but it was like if we ever acted up, Papa beat the hell out of us. I mean, he had a rough childhood, I'm quite sure, and I'm sure I don't know if James Brown has kids, but
Oh yeah, James Brown has.
he probably has multiple.
I don't know how many, but yeah, he has.
I can't imagine he was a good father.
Yeah, well, especially not during the crack cocaine years.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out Bruce Springsteen. He does a lot of dad songs and has for a long time. And it's interesting, like one of his, in 82, My Father's House, that was on Nebraska.
Right.
It was a very stark song about going back to your late father's house and how he doesn't live there anymore. And you've got all these unresolved issues. And then fast forward, he's got a lot of them. It's like he's spent a lot of time thinking about dads and father roles and all that stuff. And then more recently, 2005, from his Devils and Dust album, he had Long Time Coming. And in that, he's vowing that he won't be his father and that he's got 2 kids and a third on the way. And he has 3 kids now. And that, he's going to be breaking the chain of bad fatherhood. So he's one artist that really has put the light on fatherhood like through pretty much his whole career.
Yeah, and the recent movie that came out about him, that's of course it was about making Nebraska, but a big part of that is his relationship with his father.
Right.
Forgot about that movie. I'd like to see that.
It's really good.
What's it called?
Its name's gone out of my head right now, but but I'll remember before we're done.
Google Bruce Springsteen movie. I got Mr. Man by Culture Club. Now, you've got to picture, this was from 1983, and I think it was 83. Yeah. And Boy George, who at the time, he was a cross-dresser, and he wore the makeup and the wigs and the long flowing gowns and everything. And the song was really an early song about toxic masculinity. There's kind of an underlining theme about disapproving fathers and how they're not doing the world any good. But it has this just easy flow because it's got, the reggae kind of roots to it and everything. So it's interesting. I've got some that are kind of like that, where people are just, I could go ahead and mention George Michael's father figure from 87. The interesting thing about this is it's kind of gay-coded, and George Michael is very much in the closet at the time. And he was still in his 20s, and he was thinking about being a father figure, presumably like in the video with these models who are like these women who are older than him, and he's trying to, in his 20s, be the father figure. And I thought, this is totally a gay thing. And it seems more obvious when you hear it now and what he was going through being in the closet and everything.
Oh, okay.
But people love the song, and women who just could not accept that he might be gay, loved it, and somehow imagined this real boyish looking. He was not just young; he looked even younger. Being a father figure in any way. But you take what you want from whatever you hear.
I could never understand how people, didn't think he was gay.
I didn't see it. Yeah,
I mean, come on,
didn't see it.
Well, John and I are still back in the 70s, but I think maybe one of the biggest hits about fathers was "Color Him Father" by the Winstons, which I've never particularly liked.
I don't know that song or that band.
Well, I think it was like 71 or so, and it's actually about a stepfather.
Okay.
And it's basically painting a good picture of a strong, maybe a little stern father, but it's really good.
Protective. We call it protective if we like it. Stern if we don't.
Yeah, but that reminds me of the other song about stepfathers. It was a hit for Brad Paisley, "The Man He Didn't Have to Be," which I think is a great stepfather song, because I had a great stepfather.
Yeah.
I didn't get along. I mean, my natural father was not around hardly ever at all. You'd see him maybe once every couple of years. He'd come through town.
Right.
But
when did your mother remarry?
When
did
they
he come
divorced
into
when
your
I was
life?
like 5, and she started dating him when I was like 7.
Oh, okay.
And I think got married the next year.
So he got in there early with you.
Yeah, and he
That's
was
awesome.
A terrific role model and just one of the nicest, easiest going guys in the world. Yeah. And when Brad Paisley came out with that song, which is, talking about how, I hope as a father I'm half the man that he didn't have to be.
Right.
It really hit me. I mean, because
Well, step parents are such a fraught relationship. It can possibly be so bad.
I know.
I've had a
and
lot of
you-
bad step parent experiences.
Well, and most people I know had pretty, their step parent experiences weren't that good, but mine was terrific, and
Well, count yourself
great.
lucky.
yeah, my best buddy Daryl, he went up with a great stepmom, who was very accepting of him, and with me,
They need to be appreciated more. I mean, arts has consistently demonized step parents,
Yeah.
and some step parents have been better than the biological parents
Yeah.
would ever have been. You
Yeah.
know?
Sure,
So,
that's true. I mean, just listen to Wayne.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
mean, it
listen
was-
to Wayne talk.
yeah, well, but anyway, that's one. If you've never heard it, it was a hit back in the 90s, and
In the 90s?
yeah, Brad Paisley.
Oh, Brad Paisley. Okay, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to country.
No, I moved ahead with
you
Brad
did.
Paisley.
I'm confused. Now you're ahead of me.
But it's a great country song, and it's, like I said, I think it's the best song about a step parent.
There is a ton of country music songs about dads.
Oh, yeah. Good,
I guess
bad,
it's
dad,
a
bad.
patriarchal
bad dads. Yeah.
genre or something like that. But yeah.
Well, but I mean, that goes all the way back to the 20s and the 30s and everything. That Silverhead Daddy of Mine.
1920s.
Gene Autry's, yes, 1920s, 1930s. And, Daddy and Home by Jimmy Rogers. There was a whole genre of, I love my parents or my parent just died. I mean,
Yeah.
Will the Circle Be Unbroken is about, a mother's funeral.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. Did not know.
But yeah, you go back into the 20s and 30s. I mean, and just for a little bit more history,
1920s.
1920s. During World War II, there was a whole subgenre of songs about absent fathers because they were at war, or fathers who died in the war.
Yeah.
And I mean, Eddie Arnold had like 5 of them in a row, and it's like really sad, depressing stuff. We talk about Chet Atkins. Chet Atkins hated that stuff. He hated maudlin songs, and then he records but it's not. I mean, it's a sincere song, but one of the saddest songs of all time.
Wow.
All right, let's see. How about Papa Was a Rolling Stone by the Temptations?
One of the best of all time.
I was trying, when you were doing the other Papa songs, I was thinking, wait, who was that? Who was that? So Papa Was a Rolling Stone, so I didn't say anything. So, okay.
Yeah, no, I think Papa was a Rolling Stone. I mean,
Great. I love the chorus, I guess it is.
Yeah. And when he died, all he left us was alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great line.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything about that, and there's a whole bunch of absent father songs like that, but that's the king of them all.
Yeah. The Living Years, Mike and the Mechanics. I brought that up in some episode like a year or so ago. Really well done song. Has the potential to be a real hokey one, but it's not. It's just very sincere. It's about if you've got issues with someone, you need to address them, when you have them, and not just let them fester because then they die and, you can't resolve them. It's got the line, it's too late when we die to admit we don't see eye to eye. So it's like, speak to people now. It had the chorus in it. It had all the trappings of being, such a showy, but I thought it was a good song.
Wasn't there a Genesis connection?
He was in Genesis.
Mike
Mechanics.
Mike and the Mechanics, but I can't think of the name of the lead singer of Mike and the Mechanics was in Genesis, and his name's gone out of my head.
We need like a fourth person to just Google things
Just
that we
fact.
bring up through the show because we're always like, wasn't there this? Wait, was that this? We just need another character just on Google the whole time. I'm going to throw out my 2 girls that I have to throw out because I always do, and I brought them up in the Mother song. One is Kate Bush, Cloud Busting. Wonderful song. It's about a father and son who create a machine that creates rain, and they had a real extravagant video, and Donald Sutherland played her father, and Kate Bush was playing the boy in this like little shaggy wig, and all I saw was Kate Bush in a stupid wig. But it was a great song, and it had so much optimism and brimming with optimism. She's just going, I just know that something good is going to happen. Just saying it could even make it happen. And then flipping over to the other one, Madonna. Also, she had in 1989 her album. I mentioned Like a Prayer. it was the first time I felt like we got some legit stuff from Madonna. And one was the Mother song, Promise to Try, which is about her mother who died of cancer when she was 5 years old, and it just left a void in her life, and how she's just promising to try to move on and to, and all that as an adult. The other one, she has a song called Oh Father on the same album, and she did not have a good relationship with her father, and it's all about, she says, you can't hurt me now, I got away from you, I never thought I would. So the first part of the song is all about condemning and everything, and then she realizes that his life wasn't perfect either, and that someone had hurt her too. The significance of this is I thought Madonna was incredibly false or, put on or whatever, and these two songs were real from her real life, and they had actual depth to them.
Yeah.
What about Papa Don't Preach?
I left that one out because that wasn't even about Papa. That was just about her being pregnant. She's just like, don't preach, Papa, don't preach. That's the song most people would think of because, of course, it was a #1 hit, and she's talking Papa. But there's no really understanding of the dynamic between her and her father. She's just, don't preach. I've decided I'm keeping my baby, blah, 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 blah. So she's just like kind of talking to herself. And I thought that's the song people would think of for Madonna.
I was sure you were going to say that.
No. That didn't
But
really have anything
your
to do
deeper
with fathers.
catalog into Madonna.
Yeah, I've heard it all.
Well, I'm going to bring up one from the 60s, actually. Judy Collins' song My Father, which I think she actually wrote that. She didn't write a whole lot of songs, but it got covered. But no, she mostly was an interpreter. But Nina Simone did a really good cover of it, too. And it was about, that starts off, my father always promised us that we would live in France and something, and I would learn to dance. And it was just about all these things that didn't happen, and then some of them did. It's really sweet and pretty.
Huh.
And it used to be covered a lot back then. You don't hear it much now.
Okay.
How about Child is the Father of the Man by Brian Wilson? Was actually written for the ill-fated Beach Boys' Smile album.
Okay.
So Brian Wilson famously had a psychotic breakdown and freaked out on an airplane and couldn't tour with the Beach Boys anymore, and that's when they brought Glenn Campbell in to take his place in the touring band. And so Brian Wilson stayed home and wrote he was responsible for all the hits the Beach Boys had, and then he did Good Vibrations, and then everyone said, oh my God, Brian's a genius.
Yeah.
And so then people started just not even telling him, they were dosing him with acid, and he's started working on Smile, which he said was going to be a teenage symphony to God. It was going to have humor. It was going to have just noises, just sounds he recorded. Right. He'd be sitting at the dinner table and someone would drop a knife on the plate and he'd go, wait, we got to record that. And it just went out of control and he kind of lost his mind. And it wasn't until 2006, that he finally was able to put a reconstituted version of Smile together, but it wasn't under the Beach Boys name. It was under the Brian Wilson name. But Child is the Father of the Man is one of the songs on that record.
What's that about?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's nothing basically but him saying Child is the Father of the Man over and over and over.
Okay.
to get you to think about it.
That was also the name of the first Blood, Sweat, and Tears album that had Al Cooper on it.
Oh.
But yeah, that was like I don't know where that saying came from, but it was an old saying.
But, Zen Cone maybe here.
Yeah, kind of. I've got one that's another one of those kind of sentimental ones that I liked, but it's My Old Man by Steve Goodman. Steve Goodman's the guy who wrote City of New Orleans, and he was great songwriter, contemporary of John Prine.
Okay.
But this was a great one because it was like it got the friction between fathers and sons right. And he was talking about, he talked about negative stuff, and it starts with, I miss the old man tonight, and I wish he was here with me with his corny jokes and his cheap cigars. He could look you in the eye and sell you a car. That's not an easy thing to do. But at the end, it's like he talks about how there's things about how, they would get into fights and he would like turn him off. And he said, but I'd give everything I own to hear what he said when I wasn't listening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really good one.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah.
I like that. Of all people, for me to be bringing up an Elton John song, but the last song in '92, it was not a big decorated showboating kind of song at
Yeah.
all. It's very serious, somber, but well executed song by Elton John, and it's about a reconciliation between a father and his gay son on his son's deathbed, and his son's dying of AIDS.
Oh, I don't even know that song.
Yeah, this was in '92 after years of the death sentence from AIDS.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it was
people
like
forget.
a really poignant and very dialed back Elton John, but it was a really good video too. But it's just about a dad who had disowned his son or whatever.
Yeah.
Now his son's dying, so he goes and reconciles with him at the end of his life.
Well, just a little personal information about me. When I graduated from graduate school, my first job was, it's my degree is in counseling, and I worked at an AIDS HIV service organization, and this would have been in the early '90s when
Oh,
HIV
yeah.
was a death sentence.
Yeah, it
and
was, yeah.
I became intimately acquainted with that very thing you're talking about. People just being disowned by their parents and then just shriveling up and dying on their own.
Yeah.
And it was really, really sad.
This is a really rough time for America, I think. And
Yeah.
people just kind of turned away from it and tried to pretend it wasn't there.
But you talk about regrets. I mean, my gosh, can you imagine
Yeah.
being a parent and then that happens,
Yeah.
and then it hits you how stupid you were?
Yeah. And if you didn't make the effort to do anything before they died,
Right.
if they just died,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, there you go.
But I did find that there were just amazing instances of grace and wonderful. I mean, I was a suburban white kid, straight.
Right.
I thought they were going to just chew me up. And I
Right.
made some really great friends and met some really wonderful people who I think they really loved me, and I feel like I really loved them. And they were very, very different from me. And that
Yeah.
was a life-affirming
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. People now don't have any idea what that era was like.
Yeah.
I mean, those
No.
of us who had, I had my best friend Daryl's guy.
Yeah.
And it was like, you were worried about him all the time.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But, rough time.
Well, I just was thinking about a song, and I looked up the lyrics, and it's not about father, but I was thinking of Joni Mitchell's song, My Old Man.
Yeah, that's another one of those.
But but the lyric is, we don't need no piece of paper from the city hall keeping us tied and true. My old man keeping away my blues. She's talking about her partner.
Yeah. I saw, and I don't know if this was real, but I saw this video of the 5 bands Joni Mitchell hated the most. And they did all these quotes of everything she said, or 5 acts. And it was like Bob Dylan and Fleetwood Mac and Neil Young. And it was just like, and she just said these real biting things about all and their performance and all that. And I thought, didn't know.
Yeah,
She harbored. I mean, I've heard her say sassy things now. And she just sounds kind of like the crazy old lady who doesn't like, Taylor Swift or whatever. But she's apparently always been like that.
Yeah, she's
Real
pretty
judgy.
persnickety. Yeah, but it's funny because she criticizes Dylan for stealing stuff, and he did.
Yeah.
But that's what folk
What's
music
what art is.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they say? Good artists borrow from other artists. Great artists just steal.
Well, I want to bring up, and it's a person who was local for a while, Scott Miller. He did one of my all-time favorite songs about dads called Daddy Raised a Boy.
Okay.
And it's a great song about, there's a point in your life where you recognize that your parents are just human, and all the mistakes that they made are things that you could make.
Yeah.
And, because you grow up thinking, oh, they're,
They know everything.
they know everything and they're this authority. And then it's a really interesting period where you go through and you start kind of forgiving them for being human.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And this song, Daddy Raised a Boy, is all about, he starts talking about his dad and how he never really grew up, and neither did the singer. And it was funny because one of the times I talked with Scott about that song, because I love that song, he said, yeah, first time I sang that in public, my dad was in the audience.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And it's like...
I hope it went well.
I think he said, it seems like he said that, he had a positive comment afterwards. But, I think that was somebody who didn't get accepted for being a performer artist. His dad, I think, was a lawyer, and owned like a cattle ranch and everything. But it's one of those things where it's like, I think that's an important part in your life, and it's also an important part of, when you're writing about it, that, you just
Well, you
realize.
understand the world better when the people you know the best, you start seeing them for the multi dimensions that they have.
Yeah, and you see that all of
It's
their
like you may not accept a flaw in your mother or father as like a character flaw or whatever. And then you realize, oh yeah, they're human too. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's an important part of growing up.
Sure. Well, I got some really terrible dads.
Okay,
And I don't think there's any more eviscerating song about a father than Tupac Shakur's Papa's song. Mm-hmm. I can't say any lyrics from this song, but he is venomous, and he's talking about a deadbeat dad, and it's the biggest takedown about what it did to his mother, about what it did to them, and how he wants nothing to do with this man. I'm saying it more nicely in words that won't get us, but it is like just vicious song, and Dad deserves it from everything he said. But it's great. Papa's song, it's Papa apostrophe Z song. And then Father of Mine by Everclear, that came around a few other years later. Papa's song was 94. Everclear's Father of Mine was 98. And Art Alexakis is talking about how he had this great, idyllic kind of relationship with his dad when he was a little boy. And he said, Daddy gave me a name, then he walked away. And it was like, he walked away, abandoned him and his mother, kind of what we were talking about with John Lennon, too,
right.
You know, leaving Julian behind and letting the animosity toward Julian's mother affect his relationship with Julian. And this is what Art Alexakis, that's the lead singer of Everclear, said. But he also says that he has a daughter. He has his own daughter now, Art Alexakis does. And he goes, I'm not going to let her know all the pain I've known. So, you know, there's a little positive twist on it that Tupac didn't have on his.
Well, Randy Newman has a great song called I Just Want You to Hurt Like I Do.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it is like, I mean, and that's the thing, is like he's the absent father. He comes back and, you know, they're asking, you know, okay, you know, why have you done this? Yeah. And that's his, you know, conclusion is, I just want you to hurt like I do. And it's just, it's awful. It's, I mean, he is great at playing the character of a jerk so well that, I mean, it's chilling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think anybody's been quite so honest and frank about. Yeah, this is.
I think Tupac was very honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Tupac was.
You'll just have to hear that though.
Yeah.
I've got sexualized daddies. If we want to go the other direction,
I didn't even go into that direction.
Well, I had to because, of course, Lords of Acid. They have the song "Spank My Booty." I can't. It's just a very light, playful song about S&M, and she's singing lead. It's not my girl. Lady Galore, Jade for You. She replaced Lady Galore,
right?
And they've cut it up and everything. They get these different words, and one of them she keeps going, "Daddy, Daddy." That keeps popping up in the song. And then another one more recent from 2013. This is Tovelu, I know her name. It's called Habits Stay High, and she's like this self-destructive behavior of a woman who's been dumped and everything, and how she's doing drugs and sleeping all day and everything. But then she has this line. She goes, "Pick up daddies at the playground. How I spend my day now. Loosen up the frown. Make them feel alive." So that's how she gets by, is by finding dads on the playground and
yeah, but that's different than the
having
first
her
one.
way with them.
That whole thing. I mean, we talked about that before the show started. It's like it just the whole, you know, partners, lovers calling each other mama and daddy. Creeps me out. You know, if I were,
I think she was picking up daddies.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's your second one for sure. The Tuvalu. But yeah, it's just a thing that was in the. Who knows how far back it goes, but it creeps me out.
Yeah.
Well, as I've mentioned before, my wife and I always go visit her parents on Sunday. So, and Leslie's dad, Bob, retired English professor, he always likes to find out what the subject is, and he'll suggest some things. And here's one I'm leaving up for the jury. You decide if this is a daddy song or not. And it's "I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus."
Yeah, it's a daddy song.
Yeah, because Santa Claus
she
is
was
daddy.
Kissing Santa Claus. She was cheating on daddy with Santa.
There's a line in here about, oh, what a laugh
I
it
know,
would have been
I know.
if Daddy had only seen Mommy kissing Santa Claus last night.
Yeah. Yeah, well, RuPaul did a version with "I Saw Daddy Kissing Santa Claus." So I used to play that on the show, at the late night show.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's funny. There's the songs about being a dad.
Yep.
And there was Adrian Belew with his daughter Audie Belew had a minor hit with "Oh Daddy."
Oh yeah.
"Oh Daddy, Daddy," which it's him talking about, okay, I'm going to try to make the big time, and here's what I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I really like that song. And I think she may be making music with him now. But she's,
How old was she when she did that? I wonder.
I think she was like 10 or 12.
Wow.
But yeah, it's like, I'm going to take you to Disneyland. And
Yes,
then
that's my kind of dad.
Memphis, Tennessee by Chuck Berry is, that's a father song because he's trying to get you the whole time. When you're listening to the song, you think he's trying to get in touch with his girlfriend or his wife, and it turns out, no, he's trying to get in touch with his little daughter.
Okay.
But kids today would never understand that because they don't have operators. They
Right.
don't have, long distance.
Yeah.
They just text each other.
Yeah, but it's
They don't even talk on the phone, so it's like,
yeah, but yeah, the image of a dad being in a phone booth
Trying to find his daughter, calling the operator.
Yeah.
Can you help me find my daughter?
She's only 4 years old. That's the thing.
Yeah.
wow.
Well, I mean, it's
what
the thing.
kind-
He's just trying to get through to talk to his ex-wife. Or
Yeah.
his,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's a twist in that song, which I like.
Well, I got one, Wayne, you mentioned it before we started, and it's by XTC from their album Oranges and Lemons from 1989, and it's called Hold Me, My Daddy. And I've listened to a bunch of interviews with Andy Partridge, the main songwriter for the band. He's one of my favorite songwriters. I think he's one of the best pop songwriters that ever lived. And I've never heard him talk about his parents, but in this song, I've never felt lower than dirt on the floor was one of the lines. And then, and he said, this civil war, why are we in it? There's nobody on this whole flat earth that would ever want to win it.
Right.
And he's just talking about arguing with his dad.
Yeah.
So
I've got some more dead dads.
Okay,
So-
let's go with Dead Dads.
Let's go with dead dads. Sunflowers for Alfred Roy. This was Mariah Carey in 2002. A very dialed down Mariah Carey. And I tell you, she does that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Her father died of cancer that same year. And then she did this song. It's very sweet. Very apparently, the legend is she only could do it in one take. She couldn't sing it anymore after that. And then Dance with My Father, Luther Vandross, the great R&B singer. This is a great, yes, it checks off all the boxes for a schmaltzy song, but he's remembering when he and his mom and dad would dance together and his dad would pick him up and swinging him around. And he said, he just would love just one more dance with his father. This is after he died. These are all early 2000s. And then the Haunted album by Poe from the year 2000. That whole album is about her father. He was a scientist and or academician, and he did recordings for both his son and daughter. And they found them after he died. He was an older father, and his son, her brother, incorporated them into a book he wrote, and then she incorporated his actual recordings onto this Haunted album. And they're all different songs about how she's matured without him and all this stuff, and how her life has changed and what she misses about him. But the title track, Haunted, it's just intoxicating. It's very surreal, and she's just kind of in this haze about her father's gone, and she says she can't see a perfect forest throughout so many splintered trees. And then later on, she gets more determined, and she says, time to gather up the splinters, build a casket for these tears. So she circles back around to bring that into it.
That's a good one. We know one of the other ones that's about a dead father. I believe that it's Peter Gabriel singing about his father. He's got a great song called Father Son, which is just about being with his dad and being in a hotel and having to sleep in the same bed and talking about they're back to back and feeling the warmth between them. But then he has a song called I Grieve, which is absolutely devastating to listen to. It's really rough. But Peter Gabriel's one of those people we used to, he just seems to have disappeared in so many ways.
Yeah.
Well, he just released an album like 2 years ago.
Until 2 years ago,
They-
and
and
he
they-
resurfaced with a new album.
And there are 3 completely separate mixes of the
I
same
remember
album.
reading about that, and I didn't
It's
know.
amazing. There's some sounds on there. Brian Eno does a lot of the rhythm backing tracks on it, and everything Brian Eno does just sounds like honey to my ear. But it's a. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I can't remember.
Where's our Google person?
But Peter Gabriel is great when he writes about things like that. It's just really gets down to it.
Yeah.
Well, I got one that I don't think is a dad at all, but I just wrote it down because I'll throw it on the mercy of the jury, and that is the Webb Wilder album, Doodad.
It's a great album. Doesn't have anything to do with dads.
It's just comic relief.
Well, I've got a double-edged sword here. Jay-Z, he did a song when Blue Ivy was born. That's his first child, I guess,
Right.
with Beyonce. She's like 14 now. This was from 2012, and it's called Glory. And he says, my greatest creation is you. So fine, he loves his daughter and all that stuff. But she was 2 days old, and he recorded her, doing little goo goo gaga noises and put that on this song so that he would have a world record of having the youngest, featured vocalist on any song ever. So it's kind of like, oh. So Blue Ivy, it says featuring Blue Ivy, who was 2 days old when she was put on this song. So it's kind of like, okay.
Exploitative.
Yeah. I was like, come on, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
That's
Just so you can aggrandize yourself.
Yeah. And I would have flipped to Amy Mann. She's had different father songs, but one of my favorite of hers is a song called Gumby. I don't know if you remember it, 2012. And very beautiful harmonies that she has and very great melody. She nails them all the time. And she's talking to a person who's just a man who's like psychologically paralyzed, and he doesn't want to get up. He doesn't want to put his clothes on. He doesn't want to have conversations. And she keeps going, and she goes, call your daughter. And she gets to this point of where, she's just talking about how, and he's probably got a disability of some sort, but she's just talking about how, you've got a kid, a homeless kid, right?
Right.
And she goes, I don't know just how you explain this to a kid with nowhere to live. Tell her that the father she has means well, but just has nothing to give. And it's just like such a dagger to the heart, It's like you're doing
She
this.
specializes in that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. And that's one of my favorites because that line, it's like a bridge when she goes through that line.
Well, in country music, I don't want to just to get away from mentioning the two greatest maybe female singer-songwriters in country music, which is Loretta Lynn and Dolly Parton.
Okay.
And Loretta,
let's hear it.
Well, Loretta had a song called "They Don't Make 'Em Like My Daddy Anymore," which is praising her dad just the way that you would expect Loretta to do it. But Dolly's songs are, and she's got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And some of them are like Daddy's Work Boots, things like that are really
sentimental, nostalgic,
and sweet. But
Yeah.
To Daddy, which is a song that's been covered by a lot of folks, including Emmylou Harris, who did a great version, is all about basically her mom not telling her dad all these things and not complaining about him cheating and not complaining about this stuff. And man, it's a staggering song. I mean, it's I don't know that it's completely from life.
Right. But I mean, for such a overtly sweet woman, she could really throw a punch,
Oh yeah, and it was funny when we did that. They interviewed me for the Dolly's America podcast. The person who interviewed me was saying, "Well, I didn't realize how dark some of this stuff was."
Yeah.
And she brought up "Daddy Come and Get Me," which is a song about a woman who's been put in a mental institution, as men used to do to women when they could get away with it to get them out of the picture. And I mean, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it was a whole trope. But man, Dolly pictured that and she sang it as a young woman who had been put in a mental institution, and she's trying to get a hold of her father to come get her.
All right, Bad Bunny. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Bad Bunny. He did Floor, and I think it's a great song that a lot of people would enjoy. It's a bolero, which you wouldn't expect of him, an acoustic bolero, and he's singing, and he's with the group. Who is it? Los Rivera Destino. And in it, it's a song about fatherhood and parenthood and motherhood and all that stuff. And in it, he does a pointed thing in the video and all, where he's talking about two dads, like a same-sex couple, fatherhood. Right. He's always been about inclusion and everything like that. And also Camila Cabello in 2019, she had a song called First Man. And it's overly sweet, and sometimes people just do that. You have to do that when you're talking about your parents. But it's a message to her father, and she's got a new boyfriend, and she thinks he's going to be the one. She thinks he's going to marry him and all that stuff. But she tells him, "You were the first man that really loved me." and get past any kind of weird but it's a sweet, genuine song. And I think that was a good one that she did. And I think it's apparently used in weddings for first dances.
Oh, well, the Paul Simon song "Father-Daughter" is what my daughter and I had for our father-daughter dance, and it was, I love that song. It's, I'm going to watch you shine, I'm going to watch you glow, and it's really sweet. But we don't want to get away without talking about Loudon Wainwright, because Loudon has written...
And we don't want to get away without talking about Olivia Rodrigo. So you go first. And Miley Cyrus.
It's like Loudon has so many songs about being a parent, from Hitting You, which he lost his temper and gave his daughter Martha a swat that landed too hard, and his regrets on this. Many, many years later, she wrote a song, which I can't say the title, other than Bloody, about...
Yeah.
And
are they totally estranged?
No, I think they get along, and they've got a song called Father-Daughter Dialogue, where he says something and she comes back and says, what a jerk he is. But I think they kind of get along now. But it's the same situation with Rufus Wainwright. He wrote Loudon has been writing about Rufus ever since he was a baby, with the song "Rufus Is a Man," and then years later he wrote Father-Son, where he's asking about can't they just get along?
Right.
And then Rufus writes a song called "Dinner at 8," which absolutely just tears him a new one.
Oh wow!
And it's just, and then Loudon's got a song called "Being a Dad," which he goes on about, what it's like being a dad, which is great, because he gets all the positives and the negatives.
He's got a father and a son from History, 1992.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, where he's talking about, can't we just get along? And then he's got songs about his dad dying. And he's got songs on it. He's got a whole album called "Older Than My Old Man Now."
Oh, wow. I mean, you hit that point.
I know.
And you think about...
His family is a source of songwriting material.
Yeah,
a lot of songs about his mom too.
Yeah, it's all over, and I mean, with his dad, it's more complicated than the relationship with his mom, because they had some really angry moments. And on that song, or on that album, "Older Than Old Man Now," he's got one song where he reads something that his father wrote, because his father was like an editor at Life magazine.
Okay.
And then he sings a song, and then he has Rufus come in and sing the bridge.
Okay.
So they've got 3 generations on one song.
That's a lot of Wainwright.
A lot of Wainwright, but I mean, nobody writes about familial relationships more often or more honestly, I think, than Loudon.
He's very fearless.
Yeah, and I mean, he does not mind being the asshole in the song. He'll really, And I asked him about that one time, and it's like he doesn't even really acknowledge that he does. He just writes about what's going on.
No self-awareness.
Well, I don't know if it's
Total self-awareness.
But I don't think it's that was what was so funny is I'm not sure that he thinks he's a jerk in those songs, even though, and you listen to the songs and you were a jerk. But he's got a song called "1 Year" about a child he had out of wedlock that he didn't see. He didn't see her when she was born, and then he sees her a year later. The first time he sees her, she's a year old.
Wow.
But then that's the woman he wound up, her mother is who he wound up staying with. I think they're still together. They got together after that.
Okay.
Life is messy.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, songs about parents that I think that some people are just too simple about it. It's like, no, it is messy. You go through all these phases of being a parent. I mean, it's a great thing about me being a dad is like, having my kids when they would grow up and it'd be your friends. My daughter's 30 years old now, and it's like,
wow.
I know. And it's like, she's still like, feels like my best friend.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. Well, Olivia Rodrigo, as promised, her dad is a therapist, and I've never talked about that before, but I think that explains a lot about her being able to dissect relationships and everything. And she has this cute song. I know you heard it on the Glastonbury song album that she did. she's talking about breaking up with this guy, and she wants to get back with him. And she goes, when I told him that, when I told him how he hurt me, he told me I was tripping, but I am my father's daughter, so maybe I can fix him. She's just so good at doing lines like that. And the last one I have, that was 2023. This is 2025. Secrets by Miley Cyrus. She and her dad, country singer Billy Ray Cyrus, had a estrangement, and I'm not sure what all that was about. But she did this song, nice song last year, and Lindsey Buckingham and Mick Fleetwood are both on it. And it sounds like a Fleetwood Mac song, and she sounds like Stevie Nicks. And the whole reason she did it is that Billy Ray Cyrus's favorite band is Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, well, that's sweet.
So that's kind of a nice touch.
Yeah. Well, I've got only two more I want to mention, too.
Okay.
The Austin Lounge Lizards have a song called "Get a Haircut, Dad."
Dad, okay.
Get a haircut, Dad. And it was great because it was, I mean, the song's probably 20, 30 years old now. But it's about how the dad is still trying to look like a hippie guy, and he's an embarrassment to the teenage kids. It's like, get a haircut, Dad, please. Clean up, look like a dad. And the other one, and I only mentioned this is from a prog rock band called Quiet Sun. And I only mention it because it's one of my favorite titles I've ever come across in my collection. It is Mummy Was an Asteroid, Daddy Was a Small Non-Stick Kitchen Utensil.
I got to hear that song.
It's by a band called Quiet Sun. I've got it on a big prog rock box. It's a band I'd never heard. It's a pretty good song.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Well, I'm done.
Okay. I'm done too. Now I've got to remember.
I see pages and pages of notes over there. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mentioned quite a few of them. There's tons of them I didn't. But,
We'll do a Dad's Part 2 or something like that.
We've gone through that. I mean, I should have categorized in regret songs, like daddy regret songs, because there's so many of those.
Are you done, John? You got some more?
Nope.
All right. Who wants to do a recommendation?
Somebody other than me, because
right.
I just forgot about it until now.
You want to do it?
Whatever.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll recommend a TV series that my father-in-law made me aware of, and we started watching it last night. And it's Billy Bob Thornton TV series called Goliath.
Haven't heard of that one.
And he plays an attorney who is down on his luck. And he founded a huge, big, multi-international law firm, but then descended into alcoholism, and he just works out of a bar now and hardly even takes. But another attorney comes in and says, "I need your help with this because I know you're a good litigator." And he's like, "I don't want to deal with this," but it turns out it's a real case, and so he's digging into it, and we're starting. And I've just watched one episode of it, but I would watch Billy Bob Thornton read the phone book.
Sure, yeah.
He's great.
Great.
And so it's good. I like it so far.
All right. I'm going to recommend the movie Together from 2025. It's directed by Michael Shanks. He's an Australian filmmaker. This is his feature film debut. Are you familiar with this one, Wayne?
No.
You might be.
What year
Okay.
did you say this was from?
2025,
Okay.
Together. And it's a body horror, kind of supernatural folk kind of movie starring Dave Franco and Alison Brie. They play a longtime couple, and they're in a kind of a strained relationship. She's like this successful teacher, and he's like almost 40 and still trying to get his band to make money. So she's kind of the alpha, but she's a very sweet alpha and everything. But
Right.
you can see the tension is kind of informing a lot of their relationship and all that. And they leave the city and they move out into the country. I think they're in New York or somewhere like that. They move out into the countryside. She's taking a new job as a teacher out there. Now, I should say the opening scene, it doesn't have anything to do with them, but it's there's a search party or something. You're looking for someone in the woods or whatever. And they got these two big dogs, different breeds, and they run down into this cave. And there's a big standing pool of water in there, and they're both drinking water from the cave. And then later on, you see a couple of just hard cut scenes of them sitting there like sphinxes, just facing each other nose to nose and not moving. And it's just really weird. And then later, the owner of the dogs, this all happens at the beginning. The owner of the dogs, he hears the kids screaming or crying. He goes down in his gate, and it's like the two dogs had like physically merged into this one, weird dog. So, flashback.
Right.
So, Franco and Bree, they go out for a walk out in the woods, and they fall into this cave, like kind of the ground opens up, and it's the same cave. And it's raining, and they're fighting, and they can't climb out, and it's after dark, so they don't want to try to climb out, so they're going to spend the night in the cave. And he comes across the pool of water, and so he drinks some of it, but she refuses to. And then he gets really weird and freaking out and anxious, and he had a really kind of a flashback death scene of his parents, which that informs it too. But the movie gets weirder and weirder, and she seeks consultation with an administrator at her school, and he's just kind of being a friend to her and everything, and he gives her water just from the tap, you assume, or whatever. Then you hit Act 3, and this whole thing is about their bodies are trying to fuse together, and they're trying to fight it and fighting each other, and it's really, it's a lot. But then the ending scene is great. I love movies where you just get a little punchline at the end. Not a punchline, it's not a joke, but just kind of a final scene that wraps it up, and it makes some other part of it make sense, and it's real quick. So anyway, together, kind of a fun.
Where do you see it?
I saw it on Hulu.
Okay.
I'm thinking Hulu.
I'm going to have to watch this one.
It's
this
streaming. Yeah.
This is down my alley.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm going to recommend, and this is not a TV show or a movie.
That's fine.
Sarah introduced me to a stand-up comedian named Ismo, I-S-M-O.
Okay.
He's Finnish.
Okay.
And it is the hardest I've laughed at a little piece of a stand-up in I don't know how long. He did a thing discussing, nasty things to say about your mother and how that gets people angry. If you just look up ISMO mother, and I think it'll pop up. But this guy's hilarious. I mean, he's like Finnish.
Was he on YouTube or something?
Yeah, he's on YouTube. Just look for him on YouTube. And I've watched like 3 or 4 little clips, and the guy's hilarious.
Okay.
But I'd never heard of him.
He speaks English?
He speaks English, and it's funny because I'd looked to see where he was touring. It's all Europe. Most of his routines are in English, except when he's in Finland, he has like some Finnish ones. But it's everything I've seen for the most part is talking about, coming to America, being an American, how different things are. But it's really, really funny.
Okay. All right. Music? Do you want to go music or?
I could do music. And I just thought of this because I didn't mention the song "Daddy Don't Live in That New York City No More" by Steely Dan. A Steely Dan album that is just totally overlooked generally is "Katie Lied," which I think is the first one that they use Michael McDonald doing the background vocals. But it's a great one, and it doesn't have the big hits on it, but I think it may be the first one that I bought that made me a Steely Dan fan from there on out.
Okay.
But it's just strange, and it's got gold earrings on it, and Everyone's Gone to the Movies, which is about a neighborhood child molester.
Oh.
It's like,
what is that called?
Everyone's Gone to the Movies, and it's about this creepy guy who shows all the kids movies.
Oh, wow.
But the way Steely Dan work is, it's no matter how creepy it is, they put a pretty melody to it, and the music is just great, and you're listening to the lyrics and going, oh. Wait a minute.
Oh, that. Wait.
But it's, I think, from like 1974 or 5.
Okay.
But it's one to check out for sure, because if you're kind of on the fence with Steely Dan, you don't really like the hits, check this one out and see what you think.
All right.
All right, I got a band I discovered on my radio station on Apple Music, and it's a band called Junk Drawer. They're from Concord, New Hampshire. Kind of an alternative, I don't know. But they're young kids playing guitars and bass and drums and making really inventive indie rock. I like them, Junk Drawer. And they've got a new album called Days of Heaven. It's from 2025. And that one's a really good listen.
All right. I've got a 3-woman band from LA based, called Muna. And their new album is called Dancing on the Wall. It came out in May of 2026, so it's a fresh album. The trio, Katie Gavin, she's a vocalist, and Josette Maskin and Naomi McPherson. That's the three. They formed into the 20-teens in L.A. They were college students. They had a couple of albums out on MCA, and then the pandemic came up, and like so many other acts, they were dropped from the label because they weren't making enough money for them.
That's Music Cemetery of America.
Yeah, exactly. So they got on the indie label Satisfactory Records, which is Saddest Factory Records. That's founded by Phoebe Bridgers. People would know her. This is their second album with Satisfactory, so this is their fourth album overall, Dancing on the Wall. It's kind of 80s new wave music filtered through a 90s aesthetic. So it's got...
How do you spell their name?
M-U-N-A.
Oh, M.
M. Yeah, M as in Mary. U-N-A. And the singer, Gavin, she kind of has a voice and presence that's sort of reminiscent of Chappell Roan, so that might fill the gap while you're waiting for Chappell Roan to put out a new album. And a lot of it is love songs about women, by women. So I don't know if she identifies as, lesbian or bisexual or non-binary or whatever, but these are love songs about women. And there's a barking dog. Anyway, the songs are relationship songs and everything. And there's one called Girls, where she's her object of affection is chasing every other woman but her, and she's the only one who cares about this person. East Side Girls, it's about living on the east side of L.A., which is not the glamorous side. And they talk about like having chemical sunsets and how they make the most of it, and how pretty soon you don't even miss the ocean. Ocean, West Side, Malibu, Santa Monica. And they have one called "Wanna Be Her," which is a catchy song. It's about either admiring or you're infatuated with a woman. You don't know if you want to be with her or if you just want to be her. But there's another song on here that just jumps out, and it's completely different from other songs, and it takes a kind of a definite political spin. I just want to throw it out there as either you can take it and run with it, or you just be warned that it's on there. It's called Big Stick. And it starts out as a swipe at influencers and how they have this inexplicable power to influence people to buy a taco or lipstick or whatever. But then it shifts, and the chorus is, "I know you like the back of my hand. It's true. I can make you want what I want you to." And she goes, "Make you want a nice house with a picket fence. Make you want 2 kids with inheritance. Make you want a ring light for self-defense. Make you want to give money to the government so the cops can have all the military tanks. So the cops can all have military tanks to protect your nice neighborhood just in case. Because I write the papers and the TV shows to make you think the other people are criminals. And I control the airwaves. I control the news. I can make you want anything that I want you to. Because I know you like the back of my hand. It's true. I can make you want what I want you to. Make you want to build an army and wage a war. Make you want to show the world what America's for and how America gives more than America takes. We give weapons to dictators in apartheid states. We give kids in Palestine PTSD. But we'll never effing ever give them something to eat. And if you got a problem with it, you could end up in jail. Send you to Louisiana, $1 million bail." And it's like just in the middle of the album, love songs and all this stuff. There's just this incendiary, like takedown of Americans being gullible to propaganda, manipulation, and so be warned or be made aware that this song is on there. It's the most urgent song. The sound is different. It's just like, is this? I had to look at Spotify, and then I went to look and find it, make sure this was the same group that did all these other songs. So anyway, that's Muna, Dancing on the Wall, and that's it. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for listening to us today. You can find us on social media, on Instagram and Reels, TikTok, X, Facebook. And if you have any feedback for us, if you want to suggest any topics or anything like that, you can write us at howweheardit@gmail.com. Thanks for coming by. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to How We Heard It with Chuck Campbell and Wayne Bledsoe, a podcast about music, movies, art, culture, whatever it is that's on their mind. How We Heard It was recorded at the Arbor Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee by me, John Baker. How We Heard It is a Cozy Planet production. If listening to this podcast has given you a burning sensation, then we recommend you sit in a hot tub until your symptoms fade away. If you'd like to reach out to Chuck or Wayne or even me, you can send an email to howweheardit@gmail.com. So thank you for listening, and come on back and we'll have another episode for you next week.